Hey y'all, so today we're going to talk about the steps for naming ionic compounds with transition or 4A metals. And so make sure you have your binary compound nomenclature packet and you are turned to page 2. On page 2, all the ionic compounds on that page will be ionic compounds that have either transition metals or 4A metals. So there's plenty of practice for you to do, so that way you get the hang of all the naming rules. And so for ionic compounds that have transition or 4A metals, the first step is you're going to name the metal. Then in parentheses, you're going to write the oxidation number of that metal. And then finally, you're going to name the nonmetal, drop the ending, and replace it with IDE. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and practice a few. So I'm going to do number 21 and 22 with y'all. And then the rest of it, you'll go ahead and try it on your own as practice. So if you need to pause this video so that you can copy down these steps real quick, that might be a good idea. I'd copy these down on your paper somewhere at the bottom, so that way if you forget midway or while you're practicing, you have the steps where you can easily access them. So we're going to go ahead and start with 21. All right, and so 21 we have CUS. And so what we're going to do is our step 1 is to name the metal. And so looking at my periodic table, Cu is right here, and it tells us that it's copper. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and write copper. And then next, our step 2 is in parentheses, we're going to write the oxidation number of that metal. So I'm going to go ahead and write parentheses, but I don't really know what the oxidation number is. So if you look back at our periodic table, copper is right here in the middle where our B group is, so our transition metals. We learned that with our A groups, at least, we could identify the oxidation number based off its location on the periodic table. However, we did not learn that about the B group. So because we don't know what the oxidation numbers are for the B group, we're going to have to use a little problem solving to figure that out. And so what I like to do is I like to take the compound and break it up. So I know in my compound I have Cu and I have S. We said that because of the location of copper and where it is on the periodic table, we can't determine its oxidation number. However, we have sulfur. And so looking at our periodic table, sulfur is in group 6A, and so it has an oxidation number of -2. So I'm going to go ahead and write -2 here. So I know copper sulfur has an oxidation number of -2, and copper does not have an oxidation number that we know of yet. But we know that together they make CuS. And so CuS, we can tell it's a 1-to-1 ratio because if there are no numbers at the bottom, we can assume it's 1 that is there. We just don't see it. And so what we can do is we know this is 2, -2. Copper is a metal, so we know at least it's a positive something. We need this to be the same number as this so that we get a 1-to-1 ratio. So what would this have to be? This would have to be 2, because whenever they are the same numbers, we can go ahead and get rid of them and just write them together like CuS. So for copper, we're going to go ahead and write copper 2, because we know that the oxidation number of copper is 2 now. And then finally, we can do our last step, and that's to name the nonmetal, drop the ending, and replace it with IDE. And so our nonmetal here is sulfur, and we're going to drop the ending of sulfur and change it to IDE. So instead, we're going to write sulfide. And so our final name for this compound is copper 2 sulfide. We're going to go ahead and try number 22 real quick. So copper 2 sulfide is our answer. So number 22, we have PbBr4. And so looking at our periodic table, Pb is located somewhere right here. And so we know based off where it's located, it is lead. So we're going to go ahead and write lead. And our step 2 is we are going to, in parentheses, write the oxidation number of that metal. So I'm going to put my parentheses because I don't know that yet. So looking back at our periodic table, lead is in group 4A, so I don't know if it's a +2 or a +4. So we're going to have to use some problem solving skills to figure out whether it's +2 or +4. And so again, what I like to do is I like to break up the compound. I got Pb and I got Br. Pb, we said we didn't know the oxidation number for, so I'm going to put a question mark there. And then Br, looking at our periodic table, Br is in group 7A, so it has an oxidation number of -1. So I'm going to go ahead and write -1 here so that I know that's its oxidation number. And I know that together, when I put these ions together, I get PbBr4. And so in order for us to create this compound, we have to use the crisscross method. So whatever this number is goes to Br, whatever this number is goes to Pb. So we can see in this compound, Pb is 1, so that matches up with this because the 1 moves over here. And so Pb we don't know, but we know it goes with Br. And we can see there's a 4 here. So the oxidation number for Pb would have to be +4. Plus because it's a metal, 4 because when it crisscrosses, the 4 ends up with Br. And so in parentheses, I'm going to put 4 to signify that lead has a +4 charge. And so I'm going to write that as a Roman numeral, so IV. And then finally, we can do our last step, which is name the nonmetal, drop the ending, and replace it with IDE. And so our nonmetal here is bromine, but I'm going to, again, remove the ending and change it to IDE. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and write bromide. And that is the name for PbBr4. Lead 4 bromide. Now you'll also have to be able to work backwards. So this time you have to be able to take the name and change it to a formula. And so in my opinion, this is a lot easier, but you'll see which one you like best. So what we have here is we have our, we're going to do 31 and 32 together, but what we have here is we have iron 2 chloride. And so iron, we know that the symbol for iron is Fe, so I'm going to go ahead and write Fe, and if you're not sure, you can always use your periodic table. This Roman numeral in parentheses tells you the oxidation number of the metal in front of it. And so we know then Fe has a 2+ charge, so I'm going to write +2. The next thing you have now is chloride. And so chloride is chlorine, so we're going to write Cl. And again, if you don't know the symbol, use your periodic table. And based off the location of chlorine, so chlorine is right here in group 7A, we know the oxidation number is -1. So I'm going to go ahead and write -1. And we can see now that this one has an oxidation number of 2, while this one has an oxidation number of 1. If the oxidation numbers are not the same, what you're going to do is you're going to use the crisscross method to write the formula. So that means the 2 goes to the Cl and the 1 goes to the Fe. So when we write our formula, it's going to be the metal first, so Fe. The 1 goes with Fe, but we don't write 1. And then Cl is our nonmetal, and the 2 now belongs to Cl, so we're going to write 2. So your final answer here for the formula for number 31 would be FeCl2. So let's go ahead and try one more. Number 32, we have copper 1 sulfide. And so copper, you should know by now, the symbol is Cu. Based off what's in parentheses, I know that the oxidation number of copper is +1 because of what's listed in the parentheses. And then finally we have sulfide. Sulfide is sulfur. So the symbol for sulfur is S. Looking at my periodic table, sulfur is located in group 6A, which has an oxidation number of 2-. And so I'm going to put 2 -2. And so looking at this again, our numbers do not match, so that means we have to use the crisscross method. And so the 1 goes to the S, and now the 2 goes to the Cu. So when we write the formula for this one, again, the metal always goes first, so it's going to be Cu2, because the 2 now is with Cu, and then S1, but again, we don't write our 1. So your final answer for number 32 would be Cu2S. And so a lot of this is just memorizing your steps and being able to crisscross and write it out correctly. So make sure you utilize the practice and try it on your own. Because you will not have the steps with you while you take your quiz or test.